Thank you. Sure, sir.
Please. Right? Okay. Namaste, everyone. I, Dr. Alok Dwivedi, welcome you all in KSAS lecture series, May 2025. Today we have very esteemed speaker, Dr. Bhawna Sharma, who is currently serving as the head and associate professor at the School of Humanities and Social Science, Geeta University, Panipat. She had 12 years of teaching experience. She has held academic positions at esteemed institutions such as University of Delhi, Indian Military Academy IMA Dehradun, Jawaharlal Nehru University, Amity University Noida, and the School of Open Learning, University of Delhi. Dr. Sharma holds the M.Phil and Ph.D. from JNU, New Delhi, and she has contributed extensively in the academia through her research with publication in Scopus-indexed and UGC-CARE-listed journals. Additionally, she has authored 2 units of the Ministry of Education's E-Pathshala initiative. And today, she will talk on the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, a new dawn for Indian justice inspired by Indian wisdom. We all know that we are here the moment of where there's happening so many transformation in the society, and where the Indian legal system is witnessing a profound shift, not merely in the laws, but also in the philosophy, the existing philosophy of Indian system. The introduction of Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita along with other Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita and the Bharatiya Sakshi Bill, they are attempt to decolonize just judicial system and the justice system and reconnect it with the ethics, dharma, spiritual, and cultural identity of Indianness. So this is so much beautiful topic which everyone wants to know. What are the major shifts from CRPC IPC to Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, and how the whole Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita introduced the Indian system, Indian philosophy from Manu Smriti, Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, and Arthashastra. So this is the very interesting topic. And now the floor is for you, ma'am. I welcome Dr. Bhawna. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Alok. So today I'm going to discuss basically the ideas on Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita that was introduced in 2023. And now we will start with the idea as to what exactly do we mean by Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. The Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2000.
Yes, please.
Okay. So that came into effect in July 1, 2024. It replaced the colonial era Indian Penal Code, IPC of 1860. This reform basically aimed to modernize India's criminal justice system to better address contemporary issues such as cyber crimes, terrorism, organized crime. If we go back to the ancient Indian philosopher Chanakya, he said that justice should be, it should treat offenders with kindness, to reform him, not to punish him harshly. Whereas in Indian Penal Code, there are a lot of provisions that were created only for the punishment purpose. So BNS basically reflects on rights of the accused. It also talks about fair and empathetic treatment for all the parties, also protecting the dignity of both the victim as well and the offender as well. Now, I'll start with the basic differences between IPC and BNS, just to start as to why, what exactly is the basic difference. The problem which we have seen over the period of time, that a lot of people, they enter into prison for some trivial crimes, non-violent or maybe minor offenses, such as drug possession or maybe theft. But once they are inside, they are exposed to hardened or the organized criminals, sometimes even forced to affiliate with such gangs for survival. There are ample number of examples where you will see that a simple person, maybe due to some kind of problems or something, that person commit a smaller crime. But when they enter, they are forced to join some or the other gang for survival, because inside the jail itself there are gangism that is going on, and then there are people who would force you to be part of one or the other criminal gang, and then you have this whole lot of exposure that you have to adopt those criminal values, and you have to have behavior basically to navigate the prison environment. All the big gangsters you will see, they entered into prison for a smaller crimes, but when they entered there, they had this whole exposure to this whole in the gangsterism. So when they leave prison, they are more damaged, they are more dangerous when they enter. So, and also the stigma and the social exclusion after the release. Once they are released, the former inmates often face social stigmas, because in Indian society, when you go to jail, it is a big, big stigma. You will not be able to get jobs, you will not be able to find a house on rent. Even the community members, they will refuse to work with them. So they have a very limited opportunity. They struggle to find legal employment or housing. They are isolated because they are cut off from the positive support system. So they may return to the crime, and the means of survival or belonging is only go back to those criminals which they get into touch in the jail. So this whole cycle of reoffending becomes a very system, because all of this, many formerly, these people who have done offense, I mean, sometimes even there are examples where they try to leave this whole crime activities, but once you are part of it, you will not be able to come out of this vicious cycle. So it is very difficult to break. Now, when we talk about BNS, this basically streamlined the provisions because it reduced the number of sections, and it also aimed for clarity and efficiency. The new offenses were also introduced. For example, organized crime, terrorism, cyber crime, financial frauds. These are very rampant in India nowadays. But in IPC, we were not having any particular provisions to how to deal with this organized crime, because they are difficult to crack, because you have a lot of people, they are part of the system, they are doing it systematically. So it is difficult to catch hold of them the way take other kind of criminals into your it's easier to catch them as compared to the organized criminals. Then decriminalization and removal. Certain offenses, for example, sedition, have been removed because there were a lot of complaints, dissatisfaction about this particular law, because it was specifically created at the colonial time for Indians who used to, protest against the colonial government. And it was a colonial law, so it has been eliminated. And now, aligning with the law and contemporary constitutional values, it has been basically modified and made more comprehensive for according to the current environment. Then enhanced focus on women's safety. This thing was very much required, specifically after the Nirbhaya case, that there should be this minor victim, the fifth victim that was released, the age should be increased. So now that has been done. And new offense like criminalization of sexual intercourse obtaining through deceitful means, false promises saying that I will marry you or I will offer you a job, because there are a lot of instances in 23, 24, even before that, where these criminals, they offer lure girls into something of that sort, and then there are cases of rapes and gang rapes. So if that kind of thing will happen, there are particular laws how to deal with them, because women's safety is a big issue in India. Even though that government has tried after 2012 multiple things to deal with this kind of specific problems, but still there we are not able to, basically reduce the criminal activities. Then there are introduction of new provisions. These new provisions basically for specified offenses. the community service, which is already there in the Western societies, that for the smaller offense, there should be option of community service that has been now introduced in BNS as a form of punishment, promoting restorative justice principle, which I'll be explaining in further, because that is something which is very important, that you don't have to penalize, you don't have to make sure that the person who has committed a crime should not get a feeling that I'm being penalized, I'm being punished for such a trivial act. But it is basically to correct that problem, and persons should realize that I have done something wrong, and now I have to make sure that I will not do it in future. So for certain crimes, they have increased penalties also, because punishment have been increased for various offenses, which was very important. Why it was important? Because like I gave you example in the previous slide also, that there are repeated offenders, like they will come out on bail and again do the offense, which means they had no they have no fear that of punishment. So it is very important to make that also possible. So also the fine, because the fine was again given according to the very, at least more than 100 years ago, and that fine has to be increased, because a lot of people also commit crime because they know that they will have to pay a very small number of amount, and they will be out of the court. Obviously there are problems with that kind of thing, so that has BNS deal with those problems also. Also there is mandatory minimum sentences. That is something which is again you know very important thing to highlight, that there are 23 offenses which related to national security, which are related to other problems, where minimum sentence should be there, right? So those things are very important, and like I said, sedition has to be removed. But in place of that, there are new provisions which would act when there is endangering India's sovereignty, unity, and integrity, because those things have to be penalized according to the recent after Operation Sindhu, like this Jyoti Malhotra that has been arrested. It's very important to make sure that, and to basically have a particular law to deal with these information to now that there were that these two things have to be defined, because there were different they have to be codified as separate offenses, marking a significant departure from the older Indian penal code, which did not clearly define these crimes. Because if a group or gang, for example, this specifically the organized crime, the group and gang does crime like extortion or drug smuggling or contract killing as business. So these things are organized crime. They have to be categorically figured it out, that how these crimes have to be dealt with. Then criminalize mob lynching. This why this particular thing is important, because the mob lynching crimes are very heinous. There is significant development in India in these kind of crimes. We have seen that in Dadri, we have seen that in Delhi, where based on a particular uh, religion or particular caste or a particular reason why certain people have done this kind of criminal activities, where they have killed people for these purposes. So there is separate provision for that. Mob lynching basically is also defined when there is group of 5 or more people violently kill someone, usually because of hatred based on religion, caste, language, or any other identical issues. So that was very important to basically define what exactly is mob lynching, what is the punishment for that. Also, we need specific, we had a specific demand which addressed cyber crime and social justice issues, which India's criminal law now in 21st century. And by recognizing cybercrime and giving more attention to social justice issues, like victim rights, gender-based violence, and hate crimes, because these are the actual problems in the modern India. If everybody is having a smartphone, but people are not that smart. People, there are people who are still not very well versed with the technology, and that is what the people are. These gangs, these organized criminals are taking advantage of. And there are a lot of people you will find even around yourself who are part of this criminal activities, because they have given unknowingly code OTP to the people or to on random calls, and they don't even realize how dangerous it can be. Victim-centric approach is one of the major point of Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, because justice, the objective of the justice should heal, not to hurt, basically. So that is the ancient Indian idea, where the focus of the justice system should be helping victims to recover, try to reform criminal. There is one old movie also which I was like many years ago, Do Aankhein Bara Haath, in which they basically transform the criminals through very small steps, which basically realize that there is goodness inside. So if there is any iota of that goodness inside a criminal, then there should be uh, trials. There should be things to reform those criminals, and keeping society safe and united, so that these criminal activities can be controlled. One of the major setback in India is that after 2012, and we also took part when we were in JNU in the protest against Nirbhaya rape case. But I was shocked to see the data that even within the next year, 2013, the number of rape case surprisingly increased, and which was very, very disappointed, because when the whole country is on road against the rape, but there is nothing. I mean, there is no improvement. In fact, there is decrease. There should have been some decrease in terms of number of rape cases. On the other hand, people have not taken it seriously. So that was something which, as a society, I think we need to do something. We need to be united. We need to find out the reasons for that, for as a civil society also. Inspired by restorative justice is also one of the ideas of ancient India, which has to be there. Try to, make sure that these people who are part of, who have done these criminal activities, if there is any possibility, then we have to make sure that they can become the part of civil society again. Emphasis on women, compensation and rehabilitation, justice with empathy and resolution, because there is it is very important that there should be empathy, and there should also we should try to have a samadhan, which I will be discussing now. Uh, the victim-centric features are basically mandatory FIR for cognizable offenses. There should be why it is a problem. The problem is that every chowki or thana, they have to give report how many FIR they have launched. So in many cases, especially rape cases, when the girl would approach to the local police chowki or that FIR or like that, so they would try to not to launch an FIR immediately. So that has to be done timely. Legal action, protection of victim is very important. In recent cases, where we have seen that the entire family of the rape victim was eliminated. So the next time the rape victim would think that, okay, let's not even get into this police problem, because once I launch an FIR, my entire family will be under threat. So that has to be that is the major focus. That not only launching an FIR is important, making sure that the family of the victim is also protected. That is also the duty of the the police and the entire legal system. Time bound trial and investigation. because this will reduce the trauma. One of the biggest problem is this, that we do not have we do not have a time bound system of investigation. We do not have an like in there is a saying called justice delayed is justice denied, and that is very apt for the Indian legal system, because for a simple case also you will get tariq after tariq, and you will by the time you will get justice, maybe some of them are dead already. Only few people are left. I read a news a few months ago where that in murder case of 1992, the verdict came in 2024, where like four out of five people already dead, and one person who was convicted was at the age of 96. So what is the use of this kind of justice system, where the people who are culprit are not getting what they deserve? So victim compensation is another thing which has to be done, that financial and psychological support mechanism for the affected individual, specifically sexual crimes, specifically in the crimes where trauma is involved. It is very important that that person should get financial support, that person should get psychological support, because not only getting because that is the holistic idea of justice. There should be special courts for women and children. Though this demand has started like long back in children, which because it will give faster justice for these vulnerable groups, right? And with the Indian value of Nari Shakti, we call them Nari Shakti, but then when it comes to women-related crimes, there is that if you see the data, it is very, very disappointing, because nothing has been changed, and the data which and if you see like I keep on talking to people about women related issues, crime against women, people have this and there are some women who are having access to the legal system might be misusing, but you cannot generalize that fact against all women, and that has to be taken care of. That there has to be separate code. There have to be, I mean, children who are vulnerable. I did my M.Phil on child trafficking in South Asia, and I was surprised to know that there is whole organized crime. Children are being trafficked from Bangladesh to India to Dubai, and everybody in the system is aware of it. People know the route, people know how. There is a network of people who are involved because they are crossing international borders. Why are we not able to control these kind of criminal activities? That is a major problem. And therefore it is important that in BNS there is a specific unit, specific uh, there is specific code that is given to the organized crime, and these kind of crimes require a proper system that to deal with this kind of problems. Then recognition of digital harassment. uh, these victims who are victims of cyberbullying, online abuse, are like two of my colleagues only. I got to know that by mistake they clicked on one app, and now they are part of this whole online bullying, cyber bullying. These hackers have got the access of their entire phone contact book, and now they are sending morph pictures on those contacts. They are sending, they are threatening them online. They are threatening their family members online that we will expose you, we will do this, we will do that. And these people, uh, and not from remote areas, educated people, uh, when I gave the advice that you should immediately reach to the police, were hesitant that what will they do? I mean, how are we going to come out of it? But that awareness has to be there. That immediately, if you get this kind of harassment, this kind of cyberbullying, immediately you have to get at least one common number, that you immediately contact this number, and your problems will be resolved. And there are websites who are doing it. Last to last year, there was this whole scam about a particular Chinese website which was involved in targeting Indians. giving them online loans, and then thereafter harassing them for getting that loan back, harassing their family members and all that. So that is something which is a modern day problem, which require modern day solution, right? Mob lynching criminalized. One of the Palampur incident, everybody must have remembered what has happened with two sadhus who were traveling this area near Mumbai, and the mob, I don't know what they suspected, because these people were old, and they were beaten to death. It was so sad that living in India, you're not safe in your own country. So that protection of individual and communities from targeted violence has to be stopped. Because later on, you write RIP or whatever, it doesn't matter why these kind of things are happening, and why these people are still not. Uh, I mean, later on, when you check the reports, there were FIR against 50 people, but all 50 were released because mob has no face. That is the bigger problem. How to find out, how to catch hold of these people in the day who is. So we have the able to, and BNS make sure that there is a provision to out restoration. Um, uh, can you see my?
We are unable to see your slide. Kindly share it again.
Also, your voice is cracking now.
Yeah. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Uh,
I think there is network issue, so I request you to please mute your video.
this to basically understand that how Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita give importance that there should not only be punishment, but there should also be healing for the victims, and there should be accountability of the offender. The key principle is first principle is repair. The primary goal is to address and repair the harm that is caused by the wrongdoing. So not only giving punishment to the offender is important, but also to basically repair whatever damage has been done, if it is repairable. Then encounter all those stakeholders, victims, offenders, communities. They all should be brought together to discuss the impact and the harm, and what can be done to make those things right. Uh, Another important aspect is accountability. Offenders are encouraged to take responsibility for their actions and harm what they have caused. So making sure that whatever actions they have done, they cannot just simply, do away with it, because we have seen a lot of examples, especially in rape cases where offender is out on parole, again commit the same crime, again commit the rape, go back to jail, again get the parole, come out, again commit the rape, which means there is the punishment which is given to that person is not affecting, that is not doing the corrective justice. Reintegration is very important. The process support the reintegration of both victim as well as offender into the community, right? So it should not be that a person should be targeted, especially in case of women. If there is a crime against women, it is generally the general perception is probably the girl must have done something wrong. Why she was late in the night, why she was wearing short skirts. So we need to stop criminalizing the victim. We have to see actually how to reintegrate back into the society. When I say dharma, nyaya, and samadhan, that is the philosophy behind the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. The idea basically, when I start with dharma, that is more law. It encompasses righteousness. It talks about moral duties and the natural order of the things. So, what is the role of justice in the ancient Indian system? If we go back and see that law was not only a set of rules, it was meant to uphold dharma, uh, what is right for the individual and the society. So, dharma is very important. If you talk about modern relevance, the BNS basically incorporate this by shifting from the punishment focused laws to those aimed at restoring balance, protecting the innocent, and punishing the guilty fairly. That is something which will uphold the idea of dharma. Because Indian Nyaya system talks about dharma has to be supreme. It has to be make sure that, for example, if a king decide or decision was considered just only when it is upheld dharma, not just the letter of the law. There are a lot of ample of example in Panchatantra, and maybe you can look back the theories of Vikram Betal, where Betal used to ask questions from the Vikram that in this situation, what you should do. So the king, whatever decision he would give by making a balance between the dharma and the nyaya. So you cannot say that you will not only talk about what is right, but you have to also talk about what is your anuman, what is pratyaksha, what is praman. Everything has to be, you have to check everything and then you will give your decision. And the ultimate motive is to uphold the dharma. And then it will be nyaya, right? So uh, it is basically a shift from accused centric to victim centric justice. That it is not only that we have to punish the accused, but also we have to provide justice to the victim, right? Because IPC's focus was primarily on punishing the offender. But when we talk about Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, it basically focuses on ensuring victims' right. It ensures victims' dignity has to be restored and recovery. Uh, they are the central objective of Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. It basically emphasizes on justice delivery, not just penalization. That you have penalized the offender, your work is done. But in Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, that is not where you are done. You also have to make sure that victim the victim has got the justice. So it is aligned with the Indian cultural values. Like in ancient Indian law, emphasis was on compassion, moral duty, which I just said, dharma, and restoration. So justice was personal, it was community based and aimed at restoring the balance, not just retribution. You have to restore the balance. You have to make sure that the entire it is more about fact. It is more about legal correctness, facts, and all. But in Indian system, the Nyaya system, moral clarity is something which is very very important. So they reflect the Indian sense of right and wrong, grounded in dharma and the social justice. Because our system is different, our society is different. So we require all these things blended into the system of Nyaya, in the system of justice. So, for example, the law that protect the family, dignity of women, respect for elders, and the community harmony. So, the verdict you give should be able to balance all of these things. Now, the system of Nyaya, justice with fairness, and what is the context of it. So, when we talk about evidence-based justice, and you must have seen that the news about the Nyaya ki Devi, there used to be a patti on her eyes that she will only see what is there as evidence, and there will be no other option for any other thing. She will the justice will be given only based on the evidence, and there are thousands of examples that where crime uh, crime happened and the police could not provide sometimes, and sometimes deliberately did not provide the proper evidences, and the accused was free out on bail. And that shows that the kind of justice that was given was not correct. So now that thing has been removed, and now there is a forensic support of Nyaya, which translates directly into justice, but also implies justice with understanding, justice with reasoning, and fairness. So, role of justice under Indian philosophy, especially Nyaya school of thought, stress evidence-based reasoning, intent, what was the intent of the accused, and consequences in the legal decision making. So when we talk about Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, it includes time-bound trials. It talks about clear definition of crimes. That whatever crime had happened, there has to be clearly defined. For example, terrorism. And modern forensic reports, ensuring justice is not only done, but seen to be done, reflecting the Nyaya ideal. For example, if a person's intent was crucial in the ancient trial, similar to how BNS emphasized culpability with clarity, because your intent would also make a very important role in terms of delivering justice. Uh, Another aspect is samadhan, resolution or reconciliation. Samadhan basically means solution, resolution, or settlement. There are different ways where justice can be delivered, and one of the major ways is samadhan, solution to your problem, settlement to your problem. So it stresses peaceful dispute resolution over advertised trial, dispute resolution, and focuses on reconciliation and compassion. If you see, if I give data of the divorce rates in India, 99% cases are solved by settlement or resolution. They are settlement outside the court, and then divorce happens in India. Hardly there would be any case where court was able to decide that this much should be given to that. And that is something which is very important, because the idea is to give justice to both the parties. And recently, whatever fiasco that has been happening in India due to in the divorce cases, that also shows the gap that is there in the justice system, where the laws are tilted towards one particular gender. So that also is important, that no one should feel that I have not got justice, whether it is male or female. Both should feel that, okay, I have got justice. So the role of justice is very important, because in the village panchayat or ancient court, reconciliation or restoration and community harmony were preferred over only punishment. Like there are lot of cases, like India used to be a self-reliant country earlier. There was no central criminal system, but still there were, obviously when you live in a society, there used to be problems. So it was only panchayat used to solve those problems. But the idea was basically, because you have to live with those people. So the idea was basically to restore and to make sure that the community harmony should not be disturbed. So when we talk about Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, it has adopted from victim-centric and restorative justice. It has ensured offenders make amends and victim receive due compensation or closure. So even once the justice is given to you, the victim should feel satisfied, right? So the example, in many ancient cases, mediation or apologies were accepted if they restored harmony, an idea which was revived in the plea bargaining, the victim compensation scheme today. There are a lot of cases where you don't have to give punishment only to the accused, or if there is a possibility, you can just have bargain among them and or give compensation to victim. And like smaller accident cases are there where they are sorted out on road itself, that they pay compensation and end of the story, because our courts are also overburdened. If you see the statement that was given by our Honorable Chief Justice of India, Shri Tirth Singh Thakur, that we have very limited number of judges and courts are overburdened, judges are overburdened. So we have to also make sure that not everything has to be dealt by the court of law. If there is a possibility, then people have to do it on their own. The civil society has to play their roles. Then common practices with victim offender mediation. A felicitated meeting where the victim and the offender discuss the crime and its impact. There could be circle processes where community members, victims, and the offenders gather in the circle to talk about harm and how to repair it. These are the practices that are being there in multiple countries. Restorative conferences where structured meetings that include victims, offenders, their families, support people, and they discuss their problems and try to figure out what solutions can be done. What is the benefit of all this? The benefit is basically empower victim by giving them voice. It helps offender understand the real impact of their action. It can reduce the reoffending problems and strengthen the community bonds and the trust. For example, in schools, to address bullying and behavioral issues, one can have this kind of circle processes. In the criminal court and proceedings, in workplace or communities to resolve disputes, one can have these practices. Uh, the idea which I said, that speedier justice, where justice delayed is justice denied, one of the biggest goal of Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita is to make the justice system faster and more efficient. So people don't have to wait for years to get justice. So the idea is basically time limit for police and courts. Charge sheet must be filed within 90 days. It can be extended to 180 days in special cases. Judgment should be delivered within 30 days after the trial ends, and regular updates to the victim on the progress of the case. So that can be done through use of technology, video conferencing for the police and the court hearings. There could be digital FIRs already in practice in many uh, police stations, digital evidences, online tracking of cases. It will save the time and avoid the delay due to the travel and victims. Faster response from police and courts in criminals, and and also emphasis on victims' compensation without long legal delays. So, in simple words, basically, give them justice as soon as possible. Uh, there are few criticisms of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. One is the marital rape exception, where Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita retains the marital rape exceptions, sparking debates on gender justice. Now, this is one of the criticism which has been done, that a lot of feminist groups and other organizations were demanding to declare marital rape. But the problem is that, I think, which is my own perception, is that it is very difficult to prove the marital rape cases. Probably that would have been the reason why BNS has not included it in its reforms. Then gender neutrality. Critics point out the lack of provision addressing sexual offenses against men and transgender individuals. That is also, I mean, there are a lot of places where the word men has been replaced by whosoever. However, in sexual offenses, there are few places where it could have been done. that crime against in the sexual offense should be women/men/transgender. Ambiguity in the national security clause because the new provisions replacing sedation are considered by some to be vague, potentially impacting the freedom of expression. But those things are very important. Like I gave you examples that recently a lot of people were found involved sending sensitive information to the enemy country. It cannot be simply removed. But yes, their doubt is reasonable. So these are certain criticism and concerns by the various people. In the end, I would like to say that Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita marks a historic shift in the Indian criminal system law. It moves away from the colonial punishment heavy system and embrace a more human, balanced, and Indian approach to justice. It defines modern crimes like cyber, mob lynching, organized crime. It gives importance to victims. It gives compensation and dignity to them. It is inspired by the restorative justice, where the focus is not only on punishment, but also on reforming the offender and healing the society. So BNS 2023 is built to make sure investigations are quick, trials don't drag for years, and justice is timely, fair, and efficient. So in short, it's a law not just for retribution, but for restoration, empathy, and fairness. So the idea that sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kasyid dukh bhag bhave, which means may all be healthy and safe, may all see goodness and justice, and may none suffer or live in the sorrow. So this verse perfectly reflects the spirit of Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023, a system where justice is meant not just to punish, but to protect, to heal, and to uplift every member of the society. With that, I would like to conclude. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am, and thank you very much for this wonderful speech on BNS. And you have uh, explained very well that how we are going to shift from IPC, CRPC to BNS, and how we are going to, make distinctions in the society and going to establish the nyaya, the dharma, the duty, and so forth in our judicial system. Before opening the session for question and answer, I would like to put my question here that you beautifully explained that how we are going to establish the dharma, the duty in BNS. So, how this Sanghita become a tool for building the more harmonious and the dharmic in 21st century, which is the essential thing of this society. And the one suggestions इन ए वेरी लेमैन स्टाइल अगर हम बात करें तो जहां आपने कहा ना कि समाज में इसको हम विक्टिम सेंट्रिक जब बना रहे हैं भारतीय न्याय संहिता को और समाज में दुर्भावना से बचना भी है बिकॉज यू यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द रेट्रोरेटिव जस्टिस तो क्या इसको मूलभूत तरीके से या एज इट इज जिस प्रक्रिया में हम लागू करना चाहते हैं उसमें जब तक हम फैमिली और सोसाइटी का जो होल्ड था उसको जब तक हम डेवलप नहीं करेंगे तब तक हम इसके जो निर्धारित लक्ष्य हैं क्योंकि इसको एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव सिस्टम से जुडिशियल सिस्टम से लागू करना है और भारत में उसकी स्थिति क्या है मोर ओवर हम सब जानते हैं कि किस प्रकार से उसको लागू किया जाता है क्योंकि आईपीसी सीआरपीसी में भी बहुत सारे अच्छे प्रावधान थे जिसको लागू करने में जिसको एग्जीक्यूट करने में प्रॉब्लम हुई तो क्या जो फैमिली का होल्ड था सोसाइटी का होल्ड था और आपने सिविल सोसाइटी की बात की उसका होल्ड है जब तक उसको हम पुनर्स्थापित नहीं करेंगे तब तक क्या हम बीएनएस के लक्ष्यों को प्राप्त कर सकते हैं क्या इस दिशा में बीएनएस कुछ सोचता है जी
थैंक यू सो मच आलोक जी फॉर योर क्वेश्चन आई थिंक आपका जो कंसर्न है दैट इज वेरी वैलिड बिकॉज this is a holistic approach. Like one of the challenging tasks in front of BNS is this only that how to involve family. because in the recent case, which I am remembering right now, that a youngster where he killed people from his very expensive car, I was surprised to see the case details, because the case details showed that when he went for his blood test, in place of him, his mother gave her test, and they had made a WhatsApp group. His grandfather, his father, his mother, everybody was making trying their level best to save that boy. They were not only spending money in bribing the doctors, in the forensic scientists, starting from police people, but they changed the entire blood reports of all the people. Instead of minor, they gave the adults blood report, their fathers and mothers. So that actually disturbed you, कि जहाँ पे हम बात कर रहे हैं होलिस्टिक डेवलपमेंट की, हम जहाँ बात कर रहे हैं अक्यूज्ड को रियलाइज होना चाहिए कि मेरी मिस्टेक है, वहां उसके माता पिता, उसके दादाजी, उसका पूरा परिवार उसको रादर देन ये सजा देने की कि तुम रात को शराब पी के तुमने 4 लोगों को कुचल दिया, उसके बजाय उसको बचाने में लगा है पूरा परिवार। तो ये एक बहुत बड़ी समस्या है। इसको भारतीय न्याय संहिता की जगह, क्योंकि बिकॉज you know why justice these laws and everything were created to basically protect us from this kind of atrocities, but जहां तक आप बात कर रहे हैं सुधार की, तो वो एक फैमिली से, एक सिविल सोसाइटी के थ्रू ही आ सकता है। उसमें लॉ कुछ नहीं कर पाएगा, बिकॉज स्टेट इज देयर टू मेक लॉज कैन ओनली हेल्प अस व्हेन वी आर इन प्रॉब्लम्स। बट व्हाट अबाउट दीज पीपल, व्हाट अबाउट दिस काइंड ऑफ फैमिलीज, जिनको रियलाइज ही नहीं है कि उनके परिवार के सदस्य ने कोई गुनाह किया है, और उसको गुनाह को रियलाइज कराने की बजाय पूरा परिवार उसको बचाने में लगा हुआ। और जब ऐसे लोग बच्चे बचते हैं, तो और ऐसे लगातार केसेस हैं, अगर आप देखेंगे जो माइनर बच्चे हैं और जो फरारी और ऑडी और ये सब चला रहे हैं गाड़ियां, और उससे लोगों को कुचल दे रहे हैं, और उसके बाद उनका पूरा परिवार उनको बचाने के लिए पैसा बहा रहा है और उनको पूरी कोशिश कर रहा है कि दे शुड नॉट बी पनिश्ड, they should not get any punishment, they should not even spend a single night, like in my university only, like the former one, I saw the case where a student his father was MLA in Delhi. So he was getting his car out, and there was this police traffic man. So he was trying to stop him, but उसने उसको रुकने की बजाय उसके ऊपर कार उसके ऊपर चढ़ाने की कोशिश की, और वो निकल गया। तो उसको रात को पुलिस ने पकड़ा, उसने उसके घर फोन गया, तो उसके MLA दादाजी ने दे स्कोल्ड द पुलिस पीपल दैट मेरा पोता शुड नॉट स्पेंड इवन अ सिंगल नाइट इन द पुलिस स्टेशन, और उसको रात को ही घर पे छुड़वा के गए पुलिस लोग, सुबह जाके उन्होंने जमानत करा। अब वो बच्चा, आप खुद सोचिए, दोबारा कभी ऐसा क्राइम करने से डरेगा? कभी नहीं डरेगा। और वो बहुत प्राउडली बता रहा है इस बात को हमें सबको, अपने सारे दोस्तों को, अपने टीचर्स को, कि देखो मेरे साथ ऐसा हुआ, और मैं एक रात भी मेरे दादा ने मेरे को जेल में नहीं सोने दिया। अगर वो उस रात उसको सोने देते, शायद वो अगली बार ऐसे करने से पहले डरता। बट प्रॉब्लम यहाँ है दैट आर फैमिलीज, दे आर रादर देन रियलाइजिंग, जैसे हम लोग के बचपन में हम कोई गलती करते तो हमें डांट पड़ती थी या हमें थप्पड़ लगता था कि आपने ऐसा क्यों किया, अगली बार आपको ऐसा नहीं करना है। बट फैमिलीज, आजकल का जो जमाना है, आजकल की जो पेरेंटिंग है, उसमें यह है कि अगर बच्चा गलती कर रहा है तो उसको सुधारने के बजाय उसको छुपाओ, उसको दबाओ, उसको रियलाइज मत होने दो कि गलती है। इसमें भारतीय न्याय संहिता क्या कर पाएगी, दैट आई एम डाउटफुल। इसमें जो रोल है, जैसे आपने कहा, सिविल सोसाइटी का बहुत बड़ा रोल है, इसमें फैमिली का बहुत बड़ा रोल है, हमारे एजुकेशन सिस्टम का बहुत बड़ा रोल है। जब हमारे एजुकेशन सिस्टम में ये चीज आएगी कि हाँ, अगर बच्चा गलती किया है, अगर कोई आपके परिवार में गलती किया है, तो उसको सजा मिलनी चाहिए, ताकि वो अगली बार गलती ना करे। जैसा मैंने आपको एग्जांपल दिया, especially in rape cases, you will see there are number of people who are out on bail and again they commit rape. तो ये इसका क्या रियलाइजेशन है कि जो सजा उन्हें मिल रही है वो काफी नहीं है, जो सजा वो, क्योंकि वो बार बार पैरोल मिल जा रही है उनको, और पैरोल मिलके वो फिर दोबारा वही क्राइम कर रहे हैं। दैट मीन्स that there is something wrong with our justice system, there is something wrong with us as whole. We have to take responsibility as a society कि अगर इस तरह का कुछ हो रहा है, so we have to basically aware students, बचपन से हम उन्हें सिखाना होगा कि अगर आपको आजादी मिली है, आपको पैसे मिले हैं, इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि आप कुछ भी तरह के क्राइम करेंगे और आप उससे बच जाएंगे। और सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट जो चीज मुझे लगता है सर, is that parents should never give this any idea to their children कि अगर तुमने जीवन में कोई गलत काम किया, कोई क्राइम किया, तो हम तुम्हें बचाएंगे. Simply they should make it clear to them, अगर आपने कोई क्राइम किया, you will be punished for that, we will not help you. उससे शायद हो सकता है कुछ सुधार हो सके इस तरह की चीजों में.
बिल्कुल। और इसमें ये है ना कि समाज के स्तर पे भी जो जागरूकता की बात आपने की, क्योंकि होता ये है कि समाज में अगर किसी के घर का कोई बच्चा या कोई भी व्यक्ति कोई भी क्राइम कर रहा है, तो समाज की एक मनोदशा ऐसी दृष्टि होती है कि वो पूरे परिवार के प्रति उसकी अपनी उस प्रकार की दृष्टि रखने लगता है। तो जो आपने एक बात कही थी कि हमें अलग अलग प्रकार के ग्रुप्स बनाकर सिविल सोसाइटी को और मजबूत करके, क्योंकि भारत का दुर्भाग्य ये है कि पिछले कुछ वर्षों में सिविल सोसाइटी बहुत पीछे छूट गई। अब एग्जीक्यूशन का भी काम एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को करना पड़ रहा है, जो मैनेजमेंट के थ्रू होता था। तो प्रॉब्लम्स यहाँ आ रही हैं क्योंकि सिविल सोसाइटी की हालत खराब है। जब तक समाज में ऐसी व्यवस्था नहीं रहेगी कि किसी के घर का कोई बच्चा, जैसे आपने बच्चे का उदाहरण दिया, तो वो बच्चा अगर उसके दादाजी उसको नहीं बचाते तो उनका पूरा पॉलिटिकल कैरियर, उनका पूरा सोशल कैरियर खत्म हो जाना है। कि उसको वो भांप रहे हैं, वो समझ रहे हैं। तो समाज अगर इस प्रकार का डिस्टिंक्शन कर सकेगा कि जिसने क्राइम किया है उसमें उनके पिताजी का दोष नहीं है, पिताजी का दोष एक सोशल तरीके से हो सकता है, एथिकल तरीके से हो सकता है, लेकिन उस क्राइम में उनका डायरेक्ट दोष नहीं है, ऐसी दृष्टि समाज की आ जाएगी, तो मुझे लगता है कि ये चीजें बढ़ेंगी। ये चीजें डिस्कशन से ही बढ़ने वाली हैं अगर हमारी सिविल सोसाइटी इसको डिस्कस करती हैं। नाउ द सेशन इज फॉर ओपन डिबेट, ओपन क्वेश्चन। यस प्लीज।
Okay, Bhavna ji, very nice. I have some questions regarding the technicalities of this because I want to ask this how civil society can play a role, but Alok already asked this question. So my thing is that first question, I have three, four questions. Can we say this is a comprehensive law system which includes all other acts which were scattered with different acts and BNS integrated all. I will give you example. The victim-centric approach, which you mentioned as one of the key point on this BNS system, that approach is already started in 1995, and that through 154th Law Commission recommended this victim-centric, and they implemented that. Second thing is that cybercrime also started in India in through Information Technology Act 2000. So those two are just an example, but other laws are also there, which are part of IPC and through the different evolution of the IPC codes, they have the part of that, but they were scattered. But I can think about that. Can we say that this is a comprehensive of those other scattered law or acts?
Okay, sir, when I say PNS, it includes basically, it replaces IPC, Indian Penal Code, and it covers basically crimes, murder, theft, rape, etc., and the punishment. So new also include new crimes that were not there in IPC, for example, terrorism. For example, mob lynching, organized crime, and the provision for the victim compensation and the community services, etc. So those are new things that it has included. However, there are certain things that are also active, like you mentioned, police procedures, which are there under Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, which has replaced CRPC. Then evidence is in the court, which was earlier Indian Evidence Act, which is replaced by Bharatiya Sakshya Adhiniyam 2023. Also, we have other areas which are not covered under Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, like anti-corruption system, juvenile justice system, domestic violence, cyber crimes, like you mentioned, IT Act 2000, which is still governs most of the digital offenses. Domestic Violence Act is still in there. Narcotics, SC/ST Protection Act. Also, money laundering is not included in Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. So I would say that basically it is only about the crimes that are there where punishment they deserve, but other acts still need I would say, to basically make sure that the holistic idea of criminal justice system should be there. So it basically replaces, I think, IPC, and other systems are still in place.
Okay, and the second thing, you also pointed out that the empathy and resolution system about that. So, I think when I was in school, I was part of a debate there that time, and we discussed about the Panchayati Raj system. And the Panchayati Raj system and the 1987, if you remember, that the Lok Adalat also started. So those are not covering this part, empathy and the resolution part, or they are evolved in Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita.
Sir, thank you for the question. Very important aspect is that Lok Adalat are now only shrink to basically the challan and all those things. People have not actually taken full use of it the way it should have been used. Like you very well pointed out, that they could have been used for this empathy and all those things, and the smaller criminal activities could have been part of Lok Adalats, but that has not been done. Even panchayats, if you will say, are not functional the way it used to be before Britishers came to India. Panchayats used to, I mean, there are a lot of cases where you will see, like in our older stories, where we used to see that the first, if there is any problem, any offense will happen, they will first go to panchayat. The sarpanch will decide. If they're not satisfied with sarpanch, then only they will go to the king. But nowadays, panchayats are not working in that way. Even for a smaller crime, people would directly go to the police station. They will launch an FIR. For a similar, I mean, for a smaller, maybe there is a dispute over small incident, maybe on a boundary of a land. They will simply go to the police, and then police would take money from both sides, and they would make sure that the issue is never solved. But if they would go to panchayat, panchayat would definitely will try to sort out the issue. But people have now, I don't know, maybe the Panchayati Raj system was deliberately deteriorated during the Mughal period and later on during the British period. So now we need to strengthen that Panchayati Raj system. Though we have tried through 74 and 74, 73rd and 74th Amendment, but it is still require lot of strengthening from the side of people who are the village people and the sarpanch also, because they also sometimes don't take interest. They're also only interested in taking money from the government policy,
BNS
distribute it
has
to the people. And
BNS has a mechanism, because I think Alok was also asking about this also. The BNS has a mechanism for improving this, or it is going to be the systematic problem is going to exist there.
yes, sir. Of course, BNS is, like I said, is going to deal with is the idea is basically to have local solution to local problems, because when I say Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita is talking about or taking inspiration from the older systems, panchayat is something which is very basic to India's justice system, because this is like I talk about community wisdom, if you remember, and I talk about consensus. So these two things are very important for restorative justice, and these things have to be. These things are the philosophy of Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, because the idea is to basically talk about reconciliation, because these principles of reconciliation they have taken. They have taken inspiration from the local dispute resolution, because this idea particular is about decentralization, which the government is also talking about. The people centric justice, there should be decentralization of justice system, because I also mentioned about how courts are overburdened. So if there are smaller disputes that can be sorted out through panchayats, so obviously BNS would definitely encourage that, and it is encouraging basically by compounding the offenses and conciliation of smaller minor cases. जैसे मैंने बताया कि खेत की अगर बाउंड्री को लेकर है, या कोई एक दीवार लगा ली है गांव में, लोगों में छोटा मोटा झगड़ा है, तो they should go to the panchayat first, because that will provide you quick justice. टाइम बाउंड, जैसे मैंने बताया, आउट ऑफ कोर्ट सेटलमेंट्स हो जाते हैं, टाइम बाउंड इन्वेस्टिगेशन, ट्रायल उतना नहीं है कि आपको बार बार तारीख पर जाना पड़ता है, लोगों के पास टाइम भी नहीं है. सो दोज थिंग्स कैन बी सॉर्टेड आउट, राइट. कम्युनिटी क्योंकि उसमें इन्वॉल्व हो जाती है, और दे विल से कि अच्छा ठीक है, छोटा मोटा इशू है, इसको इतना मत बढ़ाओ, लेट अस, अगर थोड़ा बहुत आप लोग आपस में ही कुछ कॉम्प्रोमाइज करके अगर इसको सॉल्व कर पा रहे हैं, दैट इज गोइंग टू बी अ बेटर आइडिया रादर देन टेकिंग एवरीथिंग टू द कोर्ट. सो इसको लेकर आई थिंक बीएनएस इज वेरी पॉजिटिव.
Okay. And last question, because you must have seen the Amitabh Bachchan's movie Chehre, Chehre movie, and the Chehre movie, he is one of the dialogue was that हमारी अदालतों में जस्टिस नहीं होता है, जजमेंट होता है. उसका डायलॉग वो मुझे बहुत पसंद आया था, उसका डायलॉग, क्योंकि
जी
सही
जी
बात
जी.
कह रहा था. तो मैं वही कह रहा हूँ कि जैसे आपने भी हाईलाइट किया कि जस्टिस डिनाइड इज जस्टिस, जस्टिस डिलेड इज जस्टिस डिनाइड. तो हाउ बीएनएस इज different from IPC in this?
सर
How
लाइक
they ensure that the time-bound justice will be delivered?
सर लाइक आई सेड कि हमारा जो आईपीसी था उसका जो मेन फोकस था, दैट वाज गिविंग पनिशमेंट टू द ऑफेंडर. और हमारे सामने इतने बहुत सारे केसेस हैं जहाँ पे इवन बहुत सारी मूवीज भी बनी है इनको लेकर, कि जहाँ पे कोर्ट के सामने सब कुछ दिख रहा है, बट उनको क्योंकि आप जैसिका लाल मर्डर केस का एग्जांपल ले सकते हैं. हजार कई सौ लोगों के सामने जैसिका लाल को गोली मारी गई, सबने देखा मनोज शर्मा ने गोली मारी है, बट क्योंकि उसके खिलाफ कोई गवाही देने नहीं आया, तो कोर्ट ने उनको बरी कर दिया कि ठीक है, आपको कोई गवाही नहीं मिल रहा है तो आप बरी हो जाइए. तो ये क्या, ये जस्टिस है? ये तो जस्टिस नहीं है ना. क्यों आपने आंख पे पट्टी बांधी, अगर कोई बोलेगा कि हाँ, जबकि हजारों लोग वहां थे, कई लोगों को सबको पता है कि किसने क्राइम किया. तो यहाँ पर एक प्रॉब्लम ये आ रही है कि भाई अगर आप खाली एविडेंस बेस पर मत जाइए, यू ऑल्सो हैव टू सी अदर सर्कमस्टेंशियल एविडेंसेस. यू ऑल्सो हैव टू मेक श्योर कि जो विक्टिम है उसको न्याय मिलना ही चाहिए. और वो कब मिलेगा? जब वो टाइम बाउंड होगा. जैसे मैंने आपको एग्जांपल दिया उन्नाव रेप केस का, जहां लड़की जा रही है गवाही देने, रास्ते में एक्सीडेंट हो जा रहा है, उसके पूरी फैमिली को, चाचा और उसके पिताजी की मौत हो गई है, और इवन बहुत जगह तो रेप विक्टिम को ही मार दे रहे हैं ताकि वो ना मिले, उसके खिलाफ गवाही ना तैयार हो. तो ये सारी चीजें क्या है, ये सब प्रॉब्लम्स हैं आईपीसी के. तो इसको हटाना बहुत जरूरी है थ्रू भारतीय न्याय संहिता. इसलिए न्याय संहिता कहता है कि नॉट ओनली थिंक अबाउट गिविंग पनिशमेंट टू ऑफेंडर, बट ऑल्सो मेक श्योर दैट विक्टिम की जो फैमिली है वो भी प्रोटेक्टेड हो, विक्टिम भी प्रोटेक्टेड हो, और उसके द्वारा अपने जो भी आपको फाइनल जस्टिस मिलना है वो आपको आंख बंद करके नहीं देना है, आंख खोल के देना है. फोरेंसिक एविडेंसेस आप लाइए. हमारे यहाँ पे फोरेंसिक एविडेंसेस भी चेंज कर दिए जाते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल आरुषि मर्डर केस, द फोरेंसिक एविडेंसेस वर चेंज. तो ये भी भारतीय न्याय संहिता कह रहा है कि भाई फोरेंसिक एविडेंसेस जो है वो प्रॉम्प्ट होना चाहिए. ये नहीं है कि आपने जो है तकिए का कवर को भेजा और 1 महीने तक वापस ही नहीं आ रही है रिपोर्ट. उसका भी एक टाइम लिमिट है, दैट इन दिस पर्टिकुलर ड्यूरेशन यू हैव टू गिव रिपोर्ट. तो ये सारी चीजें मिला के जब आप अगर कोशिश करेंगे तब आपको जस्टिस मिल पाएगा. खाली एविडेंस बेस्ड जस्टिस अगर हम सोचें कि सिर्फ एविडेंस के बेस पर अगर हमने सोचा कि अगर हमें गवाह मिलेगा, सबूत मिलेगा तो ही जस्टिस डिलीवर होगा, वो आईपीसी का जो एक थॉट है, या क्योंकि वो उनका जो द एंटायर आइडिया बिहाइंड क्रिएटिंग आईपीसी वाज बेसिकली टू कंट्रोल द पीपल, कॉलोनियल पॉपुलेशन, हम लोग. तो उनको उनका जो उद्देश्य था दैट वाज नॉट डिलीवरिंग जस्टिस. Whereas in Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, the idea is not to control anybody. The idea is basically to deliver justice, to make the victim satisfied, कि उसको लगना चाहिए कि हाँ मेरे साथ न्याय हुआ है. तो इसीलिए बहुत सारे जो पूरा फिलोसफी का जो मैंने आपको बताया, द आइडिया ऑफ धर्म, दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इन टर्म्स ऑफ डिलीवरिंग न्याय. तो अगर तो कोर्ट को भी थोड़ा सा अभी इस मामले में, ऑब्वियसली इट विल टेक टाइम, अभी बहुत नया है, so it will take time to make sure that the court, the judges should also understand the philosophy behind भारतीय न्याय संहिता. कि आपका उद्देश्य खाली जस्टिस डिलीवर कर देना नहीं है, जैसे आपने बोला, आपको देखना है कि जस्टिस हुआ भी कि नहीं हुआ. जो विक्टिम है उसके साथ।
Last question is about the judge now. The judge, you know that the recently one High Court judge in his house 95 crores were found, right? And he was tampering all the evidence. Judge is himself is tampering evidence. So does Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita controls these kind of things through the judicial system or not?
Sir, the problem is with corruption. Even I'm surprised to know, like recently, I think 3-4 days ago, I got to know that somebody had filed a PIL against that judge, that why this judge was not punished and only transferred. So Supreme Court has rejected that PIL. Can you imagine? So that is the problem. The problem is not about laws. The problem is about utilization, implementation of laws. That law is there, न्याय संहिता is there, बट इम्प्लीमेंटेशन किसके हाथ में है? सुप्रीम कोर्ट के हाथ में, हाई कोर्ट के हाथ में, जजेस के हाथ में। अगर वो इम्प्लीमेंटेशन ही गलत कर रहे हैं तो फिर क्या प्रॉब्लम? फिर कैसे होगा कि अगर मैं एक टीचर हूँ और मेरे साथी टीचर कोई गलती करता है तो मेरा ये फर्ज नहीं है कि मैं उसे बचाऊं। अगर गलती की है तो मुझे ये नहीं मेरा, जबकि इसी तर्ज पे चल रहा है, कुछ कुछ ऐसा लग रहा है। इवन आफ्टर सीइंग दिस न्यूज आई वाज शॉक्ड कि अगर कोई पीआईएल डाल रहा है इंसान की, वो पूछना चाहता है कि भाई अगर इस जज के घर पे इतने करोड़ रुपया मिला था, आपने उसको पनिश करने की बजाय सिर्फ ट्रांसफर पोस्टिंग दे दिया। ट्रांसफर पोस्टिंग तो पनिशमेंट नहीं है, तो आप उस पीआईएल को ही रिजेक्ट कर दे रहे हैं, तो कैसे जस्टिस मिलेगा? क्योंकि पीआईएल को एक्सेप्ट करना या जस्टिस रिजेक्ट कर देना ये तो जज के हाथ में है। अगर जज ने रिजेक्ट ही कर दिया पीआईएल कि हम आपकी बात ही नहीं सुनेंगे। मेरे क्लास में कोई बच्चा आया कि मैम मेरे को एक फलाना बच्चा है, वो मुझे परेशान कर रहा है, बुली कर रहा है, और मैं उसको बोल दूं कुछ नहीं है, चुपचाप जाके बैठ जाओ।
सेम
तो ये एक बहुत फंडामेंटल प्रॉब्लम है सर।
डॉक्टर आर.एस. कौशल कुछ पूछना चाह रहे हैं।
जी सर, आर.एस.
नमस्कार।
नमस्कार सर।
मैं सब्जेक्ट का मेरे चॉइस नहीं है। I just wanted to know what are your observations of exemplary punishment? Like योगी जी आजकल टांग तोड़ कर रहे हैं, ये लंगड़ा मूवमेंट चल रहा है नहीं है, तो how whether you support this kind of thing or make it clear? Exemplary punishment. अभी रिसेंटली रेप केसेस में योगी जी के राज्य में कुछ टांगे तोड़ जा रही है, तो will it solve the problem or normally in Muslim countries this was the case, exemplary punishment was given there. What are your observations on
सर? एक्चुअली इसके दो मैं बोलना चाहूंगी, इसके दो प्रॉब्लम्स हैं या दो रीजंस हैं व्हाई पीपल आर, इफ यू रिमेम्बर द हैदराबाद रेप केस, जहाँ पे विक्टिम्स को ले गए थे टू चेक क्राइम स्कीम दोबारा क्रिएट करी, और वहां उनका एनकाउंटर कर दिया। तो आपने देखा होगा लोग उनपे फूल बरसा रहे हैं, पुलिस को वाहवाही चल रही है, बहुत ज्यादा उनका प्रेज किया गया। तो अगर हम if we see the psychology behind this is basically justice delayed, because we have seen, I gave you example myself. I went to Rashtrapati Bhavan 2012 against Nirbhaya rape case and we protested, everybody was on street, तब भी न्याय मिलने में 8 साल लगे। 8 साल बाद these people who were declared,
मेरा क्वेश्चन अलग है, टू दी पॉइंट। मैं एक टू दी पॉइंट, exemplary punishment, is it going to solve the future problems? So lifelong that person will remember, not only he, but the hundreds more will remember the situation.
Sir, I don't support. Why? Because see, the justice delivery system should still be with the courts, and they should decide. You're talking about the punishment that is given by the court.
People will learn the lesson out of it. 100 more, thousands more will learn the lesson out of such punishments. And sometimes they are working in Muslim countries.
You are right, sir. That could be one of the ways of thinking about it. But I am not supporting it because we all know that there is a death penalty for murders. Still, people commit murders. People know that they could be hanged till death for raping. Still, people rape. So I think like they do in South or in other laws, Sharia law is there. I think
your study requires little more comparative studies
Indian tradition
with
only.
other so-called democratic countries.
Mm-hmm. So, sir, democratic countries try to
Comparative studies, because in USA I heard if you make such a crime, you will never know where the person has gone. Even family or person is disappeared, even in a country like America. So
No, no,
punishment is very important.
it's not like that.
राजकुमार जी कुछ कहेंगे तो
मैं सोच रहा था,
yes,
मैं
yes,
कह रहा हूँ
very
कि पता यूएस में ऐसा नहीं है कि मतलब आप गायब हो जाएंगे कोई करे क्राइम करेंगे तो नहीं,
मैंने तो
ये
जहाँ
है कि
कैलिफोर्निया में रहा हूँ मैंने
हाँ,
सुना,
लेकिन
पता भी नहीं चलता कहाँ ले जाते हैं बच्चे
कहाँ
को,
ले
सड़क
जाते
पे
हैं, वो
छोड़ दिया तो बच्चे को
सारा
ले
चीज
जाएंगे, वो खुद पालेंगे, फैमिली से
सर,
ले
वो
जाएंगे।
थोड़ा सा रिस्की हो जाएगा इंडिया जैसी कंट्री में, क्योंकि कोई पर्सनल ग्रजेस भी निकाल सकता है आपके साथ।
यस,
हमने
एग्जैक्टली।
गलती किया है, नहीं किया है, गायब कर दिया, बाद में ढूंढते रहिए कहाँ है।
यही तो स्पॉइल कर रहा है सिस्टम को। एग्जेम्पलरी पनिशमेंट इज नेसेसरी समटाइम्स।
जी जी जी।
ये वेरी
मैम,
एप्लीकेशन टू
सिविल
टेक।
आई थिंक
सोसाइटी
सर
थैंक यू
इंडिया
वेरी मच।
जैसे कंट्री में
सिविल
सक्सेसफुल नहीं हो
सोसाइटी
पाएगा।
में
अच्छा लगा एक बार आप लोगों की शक्ल देख के।
थैंक यू सर।
civil society may I think it's not recommended that what Dr. Bhavna Sharma is saying that the अदालत को ही डिसाइड करना चाहिए।
हाँ, उसको ही करना पड़ता है।
सड़क पर डिसीजन होने लगेगा तो फिर वो पूरा केओस हो जाएगा एकदम। सड़क पर डिसीजन
मैम,
चाहे उस
प्रोफेसर कौशल इज यंग प्रोफेसर एंड ही वेरी मच एक्टिव, और हम लोगों से ज्यादा एक्टिव हैं, एंड ही इज जस्ट यू नो मेकिंग ऑल ऑफ अस टू फोर्स टू एक्सेप्ट भय बिन हो इन प्रीत। भय बिन हो इन
वो तो बात
प्रीत जो
सही
है,
है।
तो वो कह रहे हैं कि इसको एक्सेप्ट करें हम लोग कि बिना भय के प्रीत नहीं हो।
नहीं नहीं,
तो
आप एक
थैंक
को
यू, एंड
पनिशमेंट देंगे तो
इज
हजारों
देयर
को
एनी
शिक्षा
अदर
मिलेगी।
क्वेश्चन?
और
बिल्कुल
किसी
सही
का
बात
और
है सर
प्रश्न
आपकी,
हो?
बट
जी।
मेरी
बट हमारे इंडिया में
शुभकामनाएं,
हर
मुझे
जगह
थोड़ा
मिसयूज
जाना
हो
था।
जाता है,
थैंक
तो
यू।
इसका भी मिसयूज है। बिल्कुल,
जी।
थैंक यू सर।
थैंक यू मैम फॉर योर today's talk.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for inviting me, Dr.
Thank
Rajkumar
you.
and Dr. Alok.
Thank you, Anusha.
Thank you. Thank you.